Hey there, CJ Math students, and welcome to homework 3.11, percent quantity using the percent equation. This is a preview homework because this is the first time we are doing this. But remember, it's simply set up as is over of equals the percent over 100. Another way to write that is the part over the whole is equal to the percent over 100. So yes, this should be written down on your paper so you know exactly what you're talking about tonight. So let's read the first problem. It says, what is 56% of 50? So I have a percentage. Notice this is not a part because it's got a percentage on it. I have a whole because of 50. So I'm writing 50 on the whole. I'm writing 56 on the percent. And I don't know my part. So it's x over 50 equals 56 over 100. Let's cross multiply now. So I got 100x is equal to 56, which is 2800s. I forgot to say calculator's okay. You can write that there. Calculator's okay. You still got to show your work. We'll now divide by 100. And this should be very simple, right? X is equal to, zeros cancel out, 28, right? So B, 28. So that makes sense, right? 28 is 56% of 50, right? Half or 50% of 50 would be 25, so 28 being 50. So A is way too big, C is way too big, and D, again, over 50. So those don't make any sense, right? Let's look at I would pause right now if I were you and do number 2. It's exactly like number 1, so but just with different numbers. All right, let's look at number 3. Before we do number 3, let's think about it. It says 33% of 50 is what? So 33%. Remember, half of 50 or 50% of 50 is 25. So any answer greater than 25 makes no sense. So goodbye B and goodbye D. So now we're down to A and C. So let's go ahead and figure that out. So I have my percentage. It says 33%. I have my whole because it says of 50, and I need to find my part. So I'm going to have x over 50 equals 33 over 100. Let's do our cross multiplication. I get 100x, and then 50 times 33 equals 1,650. Let's go ahead and divide by 100 now. And I get my answer of x is equal to 16.5. So C. Again, highly recommend you pause right now and try and do number 4. Number 5, it says 155 is 62% of what, right? So 155 is, that's our part, 62%. Obviously, if it has a percent sign, it is a percent of what? We don't know what the whole is. So 155 over x equals 62 over 100, right? So let's cross multiply. So we get 62x equals 100 times 55, 100 times 155, which is 15,500. And now we'll simply divide both sides by 62. So before I get an answer, x equals, let's ask ourselves, first of all, 155 is 62% of what? So it's a little bit more of 50% of a number. So think about this. Could 155 be a little bit more than 50% of 96.1? No, because 96 is smaller than 155. Same with 41.9. What about 9,610? Well, 50% of 9,610, that's around like more than 4,500, right? Because half of 90 is 45, so 9,000 would be 4,500, so 155, nowhere close. So it's got to be B. And guess what? If you do this division, it is 250. Specifically, if you do the division, you'll get exactly 250. All right, number 7, it says 64% of what is 7? So is 7, and I got my percent. My percent 64, my part is 7, so I'm obviously missing my whole, right? So I have 7 part always goes on top, over my whole, which is x, equals 64%, and then always over 100, right? Do my cross multiplication, I get 64x equals 700. So again, before I do anything, let's think about 64% of what is 7. So 7 is 64% of what number? So 7's got to be greater than 50% of this number, right? So think about it. 126, that's just way too big because half of 126, half of 120 is around 60, right? But we have 7. Half of 448, half of 400 is around 200, but we have, again, 7. So it's got to be between these two. If I do my division of divide by 64, I cancel out here, so I get x is equal to a decimal of 10.9375, or just x is equal to about 10.9. Right? Again, pause the video right now. Try and do number 8 exactly like I do number 7. Try and get the hang of it. Backside, it says, what percent of 86 is 74? Notice there's no percent signs anywhere, so that's the thing I'm missing. I'm missing my percent. I know I have my part is 74 and my whole of 86. So I'm doing 74 over 86 equals my percent, which I don't know, over 100, right? So I'm going to get 86x equals 7400. I'm going to divide by 86. And again, just pretend you shot 86 free throws, you made 74, you should expect a pretty good percentage. Should it be over 100%? Absolutely not. You didn't make more than you took. Should it be down 1.16%? No way, right? You made a whole bunch of free throws, so it's going to be around 86 or 75.4. So let's figure it out. X is equal to, what's 7400 divided by 86? And that gives you 86.04, or they're going to go ahead and round to say 86%. Right? So C is your answer. I would pause if I were you and try and do number 10. Right? Number 11, it says 17 is what percent of 25? Again, notice there's no percent sign anywhere. There's the word percent, but there's no percent sign. So we're missing our percent. 17 is, that's our part. And of 25, that's our whole. Right? So I have 17 over 25. Oops, sorry, I'm supposed to make that blue. Over 25 equals x over 100. And hopefully some of you are realizing base 10. Hey, 25 times 4, that will give me 100. I could just do 17 times 4, and that should get me 100. Or, if that frightens you, you can just go ahead and do the cross multiplication. So 25x equals 1700. Divide by 25. Oops, that's supposed to be in blue. My fault, trying to keep the same color scheme here. Divide by 25, and x is equal to 68. And that makes sense, right? 68%. If I take a test with 25 questions and I get 17 right, that's a 68%. Or if I shoot 25 free throws and I make 17 of them, I'm shooting 68%. 0.68, way too small, right? That's just somebody who said, I got to change that to a decimal for some reason. 1.4%, again, way too small. 147%, I didn't make more than I took, right? So again, that doesn't make sense. The only possible answer that makes sense is D. Number 13, it says, what is 4% of 50? So look, our old friend popped back up, the percent sign, so that's 4%. Of 50, that's the whole, and the part is something that we don't know. So we have x over 50 equals 4 over 100. So let's do our cross multiplication. We get 100x equals 50 times 4, that's 200. So let's divide by 100. And our answer is x is equal to 2, right? Think about that. 2 is 4% of 50. Half of 50, or 50% of 50, is 25. So it makes sense that our answer should be way less than 25. Look at all these answers. They're all way more than 25. They make no sense, okay? Because you've done a great job and watched the entire video, I know it was long and difficult. Guess what? Working hard gives you a reward. You don't have to do 15 or 16. But shh, if you didn't watch the video, they're going to end up doing it, all right? Please make sure you show work like I've shown work, nice and neat and complete. and call me if you have questions.